Okay, so every now and then I will get someone reach out to me and say, Matt, why on earth should we listen to you? Because you've never worked for a publisher, you've never worked for a Marvel, you've never worked for a DC, you've never even had a book out through someone like Image or Dark Horse, so why on earth should we listen to you? And do you know what? You are absolutely right. I have never had a comic put out by any of those types of publishers, or even the smaller publishers that are out there, who I'm not going to name and mention, because that's what this video is about. Because even though I've never had a comic out for a publisher, doesn't mean I've not been offered contracts by publishers to put my books out, and each and every one that I've received, I've actually walked away from, and that's what I want to talk about in this video. So when we all start making comics, we think the natural progression for us is to work our way up through smaller publishers to get up there into the majors like the Marvels, the DCs, that kind of thing. But I don't think people really know what they expect from working with smaller publishers. Now, there is a lot of bad publicity out there for smaller publishers, which I'm not going to talk about because that's none of my business. But there are a lot of stuff about people not getting paid on time and that kind of thing. And this is one of the risks that people run into when working for a small publisher. But what I wanted to talk about in this video is why do you want to work for a publisher? Is it because you naturally think that, you know, if you work for X, Y, and Z, that's going to get you into Marvel and DC quicker? If so, not a problem. But when you're working for a smaller publisher, there's a couple of things that you kind of need to take into account. Is one, you're still going to have to pay your artist collaborators to do your books for you. So even if you've got them working for back end, which you should never do anyway, a publisher's very rarely going to give you a page rate because it's not work for hire, because it's self-publishing. And on top of that, you're probably not going to get an advance. One, because you're not a named person, you're not a great massive creator that they definitely want to pull into it. You're just starting out, so your leverage of being able to get money out of that publisher to actually do the book that you're already doing anyway is going to be really, really hard. On top of that, you know, you're going to have to do your own marketing anyway, because in this day and age, not many publishers are doing marketing outside of the occasional tweet, maybe a YouTube video, maybe a TikTok, or maybe, you know, a little animatic, that kind of thing. You are still going to have to do all the publishing for your book, whether you're self-publishing it, kickstarting it on, and putting it through a small publisher. Okay, so that's something that you may get a little bit of help from a publisher, but they're not going to do everything. So you're the person that still needs to be ringing those comic book shops and asking them to stock your book, you know, going to conventions, getting, you know, building up that hype and that buzz around your book. That's still going to be on you. But the important thing from this video is what I want you to take away is when you're offered a contract, and especially when you're first starting out, you think, you know, that velvet rope has finally opened and the industry is welcoming you in. But what I want you to look at, and I want you to learn and take away from this video, is what are you giving away to work with that publisher? Now, I'm not going to mention this specific publisher by name, but on more than one occasion, a publisher has come to me and said, look, we'd like to put one of your books out. And I've looked at the contracts, and I will look at them and I'll have a read, and it might not all make sense, but I understand the bits that I need to, and this is what I want you to do as well. And on more than one occasion, a publisher's wanted more than 50% ownership of the actual property, or the IP that me and my artist collaborator have made together. So at the moment, all my collaborators get 50% of the ownership because we work as a team, and you know, that's how I work. But if we were to give the publisher 50% of that ownership, they own more, because my ownership of that comic now goes down to 25%. My artist collaborator now goes down to 25% too, and they have 50% of an ownership that they did not even make, all for their distribution, for being able to put your comics into the shops. I don't personally think that's worth it, and that's one of the reasons why I've walked away from the actual contracts that I've been offered. Another thing as well is, yes, on some contracts you may get 100% ownership of your comics, and all publishers should be doing that, and that's a wonderful thing. But a lot of these contracts that are out there, they will say you have ownership of the comic in its comic form, but they will take away any kind of rights if you want to put it through TV and film and that kind of thing. So it comes down to, when you're submitting to publishers, how much of your comic, of your blood, sweat and tears and all that, you know, money that in time you've put into that book, how much of that are you prepared to give away to get a corner box on your comic? Me personally, I'm giving away nothing. You know, me and my collaborator are keeping our own ship, and I'd rather keep doing what I'm doing than give, you know, something away for people to make millions on, and we see nothing of that. And I hear horror stories every day of this happening. So what I want you to do is, if you do submit to a publisher and they offer you a contract, have a read. If you don't understand it, copy and paste it, put it into something ChatGPT and get it, you know, convert it into layman's terms, And if there's anything that doesn't look right, if there's anything that you don't feel right about, ask questions. If they can't give you an answer, have no qualms about walking away from that contract, because there will always be contracts, and just because you're offered one at the start doesn't mean you have to take it. Now again, it's lovely that you're offered a contract, but if it's not a right contract and it's taken advantage of you and your artist collaborator, walk away. There is no shame in it, okay? And again, I've done this many a times, so that is the point of this video at the moment. Is again, we talk about it all the time on this channel. You know, everyone wants to be in comics, but they don't realize it's the comic business. So you need to be a bit more savvy about the business side of this, and don't let people take advantage of you, and make sure that if you do work for a publisher, you get paid on every single level for that comic that you've made together with your collaborators, okay? So hopefully that's opened your eyes a little bit. Hopefully you found this useful. If you have, give us a like, share and a subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.